Hello, and welcome back to Chapter 10 of The Way of the Superior Man. Chapter 10 is a very beautiful chapter. It's called Enjoy Your Friend's Criticism. So let's get started. A man's capacity to receive another man's direct criticism is a measure of his capacity to receive masculine energy. If he doesn't have a good relationship to masculine energy, for example, his father, then he will act like a woman and be hurt or defensive rather than make use of other men's criticism. And I'll just say that taking criticism in stride requires a lot of emotional maturity. It's not easy. I know when I get criticized, my first instinct is kind of to shut down and kind of snap back at them. But someone who can actually receive criticism and use it, that is definitely a very, very attractive trait. About once a week, you should sit down with your closest men friends and discuss what you are doing in your life and what you are afraid of doing. The conversation should be short and simple. You should state where you are at. Then, your friends should give you a behavioral experiment, something you can do that will reveal something to you or grant more freedom in your life. Honestly, that sounds like such a great activity, just getting together with your friends, letting them know where you're at, and like having them give suggestions. I think that should be like a much more, I guess, productive way to hang out than, say, having beer and watching TV together. Because a lot of times we get stuck in our own heads, and then that energy just kind of goes in our head rather than out as action. Okay, so the example here is I want to have an affair with Denise, but I don't want to hurt my wife. I'm afraid of her finding out, you might say. You've been talking about Denise now for 6 months. You are wasting your life energy on this fantasy. You should either have sex with her by tomorrow night or drop the whole thing and never talk about it again, your friends might say, challenging your hesitation and mediocrity. Okay, I know I'm not going to do it. I see now that I'm too afraid of ruining my marriage to have an affair with Denise. My marriage is more important than my desire for Denise. I'll drop it and refocus on the priorities in my life. Thanks. I think this is a beautiful example. Um, Sometimes we just need others to challenge us with the threat that we actually have to take action, and that kind of jolts us into realizing, okay, maybe I don't actually want to do that. I just like thinking about it and talking about it, but I don't actually want to do it. But every time we do that, we're wasting energy right here. Instead of refocusing on what's truly our priority, we like to go through these circles that kind of just, I don't know, piddle away our energies. Um, your close men friends should be willing to challenge your mediocrity by suggesting a concrete action you can perform that will pop you out of your rut, one way or the other. And you must be willing to offer them your brutal honesty in the same way if you are all to grow. Good friends should not tolerate mediocrity in one another. If you are at your edge, your men friends should respect that, but not let you off the hook. They should honor your fears, and in love, continue to goad you beyond them without pushing you. I really like this. I really like that he included this paragraph in this chapter because a lot of times, I think, especially with the masculine, we have a tendency to trash talk and just kind of push too hard. So it's really important to keep that balance between love and respect, as well as knowing that your friend can be so much more than what they are. Um, and I think that is a really, really cool criteria for friendship. Right? You want friends who can see your potential and challenge you to be a better person. My other note here is it's a fine balance sometimes because it's frustrating to see someone live in mediocrity. It's like, why don't you just, quit your job and do this? Like in our heads it's really easy, but for them it's really difficult. So I really like this part about honoring their fears and then goad them without pushing them. That's kind of the fine balance between being a brute and being this benevolent coach that encourages them but doesn't let them stay in mediocrity. If you merely want support from your men friends without challenge, it bespeaks an unresolved issue you may have with your father, whether he is alive or dead. The father force is the force of loving challenge and guidance. Without this masculine force in your life, your direction becomes unchecked, and you are liable to meander in the mush of your own ambiguity and indecision. Your close men friends can provide the stark light of love, uncompromised by a fearful Mr. Nice act, by which you can see the direction you really want to go. In a lot of Data's work, he always stresses the importance of having this close group of men friends. And then this is kind of where the your blade is honed, right? Iron sharpens iron. Um, I really like that the idea of like support versus challenge. Support is staying in our comfort zone, and we're always going to be there, and our life is never going to be amount to much really. But if we choose the discomfort, which is being challenged, being called out when we're being mediocre, it's going to be uncomfortable, but our life can be so much more. So, really having that group around us and being vulnerable and discussing what we really want, and most importantly, being receptive to their criticism. Choose men friends who themselves are living at their edge, facing their fears, and living just beyond them. Men of this kind can love you without protecting you from the necessary confrontation with reality that your life involves. You should be able to trust that these friends will tell you about your life as they see it, offer you a specific action which will shed light on your own position, and give you the support necessary to live in the freedom just beyond your edge, which is not always or even usually comfortable. I just love Data's writing style. Um, right, a man of this kind can love you without protecting you from the necessary confrontation with reality. It's kind of they're pushing you into the fire, but they know that it's because you'll become a better person out of it, and they'll support you, but that doesn't mean they're going to let you hang out in the shallows there. I also really like the part where it's choose friends who are living at their edge, right? The friends that you have in your life are your choice. Um, and sometimes it can be scary to associate with people living at their edge because it leaves you with no excuses. If you see everyone of all your friends are all doing cool stuff and you're the one hanging out in your comfort zone, you're going to start feeling bad about yourself. But at the same time, that discomfort can also be inspirational. Or you see everyone doing this, and it's like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it, and it encourages you to live a much larger life where you fulfill more of your potential. So this is it for chapter 10. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.